Justin in the commentary booth this evening. Nice to have you along, Justin. How are things?
Honestly, I'm so excited here for Prospects eRacing League. Just got a last call in for commentary, but you know what? It's always a pleasure for Prospects eRacing League. Honestly, always a privilege.
It's fantastic to have you along with us, and you guys as well out there, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Prospect eRacing League Tier 1 Round 8 from Canada. So looking forward to it now. The drivers will be readying up sooner rather than later here, Justin. It's going to be an interesting Grand Prix.
Yeah, honestly, I'm so excited for this. If it's anything that we saw last week at Portimao, it's going to be a hell of a scene that we're going to have here tonight for Canada. But the thing about the Canadian Grand Prix is that it's a very technical track, even though it has a lot of straightaways, especially in Sector 1 and, of course, the final corners of the Wall of Champions. Some very, very tough corners that you really need to be precise with, especially with the track limits. We could see a lot of time penalties with those corners as well.
Exactly, this track really does throw a few curveballs to these guys. On paper it looks like a simple one, only 13 corners in this track, but history has shown before it has rain, it has walls, it has everything around any corner, and these drivers are really going to have their hands full this evening.
Well, let's see how they're going to do, though. But the thing about this track, I actually have some notes here about the Canadian Grand Prix. So to give you guys at home a little bit of a taster, we are here at Circuit Gilles Villeneuve, where the first ever Grand Prix here was actually in 1970. Sorry, I just got heartburn. Sorry, 1978. So a very, very historic track here for the Formula One scene, where we're looking at around 35 laps here tonight, with a circuit length of around 4.631 kilometers long. We're looking at an average race distance of around 152 and a half. And let's see how these drivers take it. The current lap record actually is from Valtteri Bottas back in 2019, a 113.078. But with Tier 1 here at Prospects, these guys are absolutely quick. So we're gonna see that that world record be absolutely smashed here tonight.
These guys, as always, Tier 1 Prospect eRacing League, they really are some of the best drivers in the world, really knocking on the door in them esports times. And as you say, they just push themselves ever so hard in this league. They just get better and better and better with each other as well. That's how good they're racing each other.
Well, let's see how these drivers are going to take it here tonight. But we, as always, we start off with a short qualifying session. And it looks pretty dry, even though a few clouds out there. But it looks pretty dry out there tonight. So let's see how these drivers are going to take it.
Be interesting. Hopefully the guys can let us know in the comments what the rest of the weather is for the weekend. But yeah, there's going to be some big names here this evening. Optic has already looks as if he's already retired in the pit lane. Maybe that's a penalty from previous races. But yeah, a very big grid this evening. 19 drivers, maybe another one to join as well. Who knows, before the end of qualifying.
Well, we're going to have to wait and see, but one person that we're really going to have to keep an eye out on is going to be Albo, mainly because with him being in the Haas here tonight, and if I'm correct, the only Haas driver out there tonight, even though they are leading the Constructors' Championship, and also with Los Antoine, with 143 points for the Haas team. So Aldo is by himself here tonight. Let's see if he's going to be able to push that Haas team for even more points, but it's going to be a huge challenge because he doesn't have Antoine with him here tonight.
That is an interesting one that you bring up there as well. Leading the constructors, they're going to hemorrhage a few points here this evening. The rest of the teams and drivers maybe won't have that at the forefront of their mind. Let's be honest here, this race, we'll see how it pans out at the end of it, but there could be some damage to be done here.
There's going to be a lot of damage, especially with these technical corners, as we're actually watching Kachow right now, being the first person out of the pit lane, going to be starting a qualifying lap once he crosses the Wall of Champions. Of course, the name Wall of Champions turns 13 and 14, a very, very difficult chicane right at the end of the DRS straight, and of course, giving it the name, that's where you see a lot of world-class Formula One champions crash into the wall, and that just says it there, right then and there. That wall right there, that one chicane is going to be the key factor to see who is going to be the one to last the rest of this race.
Villeneuve, Schumacher, some of the famous names who've met their demise in that corner, as you say. Even myself a few years ago in Tier 2 for the long watching out there. But yeah, Caccia's just about to start his lap now. It's an interesting one, very fast sweeping left into a tight right-hander. The guys can trip up here, especially in the first corner, first few laps here, Justin.
Yeah, honestly, but now we're actually watching that. You saw that little downhill right and left of turns 3 and 4. It's a very, very difficult turn as well, because the one fun fact about this track, actually, as we're watching Kachel reach the first ERS zone of turns 7 to 8, both turns 3 and 4, and also this turn right here, turns 8 and 9. You see how it is, how it's like very sharp. It's actually not like that in the real life scenarios. It's a lot more it's not as sharp of a turn, we could say. So these drivers are actually giving themselves a little bit more of a challenge from the real life scene. But Kachel was able to make his way through, keep on pushing for a fast lap as he makes his way down towards the second DRS straight of turns 12 and 13. Now at turn 13, the Wall of Champions. Is it going to take another contender? Is not. Kachel was able to stay within the track limits. He rushes towards the timing line. It's at an extraordinary time of 109.812. Well done to Kachel, especially in the Williams car tonight.
Good stuff from Kachel as well. Alex looks a little bit out of shape through the chicane there also. It's a do or die moment, especially in qualifying. It really is. You just have to throw the car in, trust that it's going to stick, and hope on the exit you don't tap that wall, as you say. But big commitments from these guys. They're really throwing it there. It's a short qualifying. There is no room for error here.
Well, let's see how these drivers take it. It's a very, very difficult track, and it takes people even years just to get used to the Canadian Grand Prix. But as it stands now, all of these drivers are still staying out there on the track and keeping those noses nice and clean and intact, because we could definitely be seeing a little bit of debris out on the track, especially with the Wall of Champions, and of course Sector 1 being so technical.
Nike is just about to finish his lap. I was flicking through. It's a bit of an advantage not being the one streaming. I'm able to see who's invalidated, who hasn't. He's about to come into the dreaded last two corners here. The chicane, the flick right into the left. Oh, ever so close on the wall. He might have even kissed it. And he's in the second on a 109.524. There's hundreds between them already here.
Honestly, 15 thousandths of a second separated between Nick and Jackson, but the one to take it all the way of almost 5/10 is going to be QC Alex with a 109.090. Loves those 09s from Alex.
Unbelievable stuff, I'm telling you now. He dropped it there altogether. Fantastic stuff. Clement across the line, and his teammate Cart Boyle is about to do also as well. Yeah, no, he might have been validated already. But yeah, so it's pretty much kicking off here at the real tail end of the first runs here, Justin. It's going to be interesting to see the strategy moving forward. There's plenty of time to get 3 runs in this.
It's going to be very difficult, but these drivers, they are trained and they have the experience to just keep on pushing no matter what situations there are. If it's raining, if there's traffic, it doesn't matter. These guys still keep on pushing to get the best time that they can ever do. But so far, the fastest with Alex of 109.090. That's the time to beat, and we could definitely see some potential overtakes of that pole sitter. But we'll just have to sit back and wait.
Total Carney's coming through the last corner now as well. Navigates that nicely, leaving a bit on the table. It has to be said there for this one, getting a bit of a banker lap in, and it's in 8th position at 110.3. So understandably so from some of these guys, not trying to decide to throw it at the hedge just yet and keep their car in one piece for that one last run maybe at the end, where it might truly be do it or pole. And Troy goes top of the timesheets in a 108.9 there.
Absolutely smashing out the 108 second barrier. The only driver to do that so far for the Alfa Romeo team. An extraordinary start for him. Let's see, after we have around, I believe we have, yep, there it is, 11 minutes left of qualifying. Let's see if Troy A can actually keep that momentum and keep that consistency when we come into the Grand Prix start. But let's see now. Oh,
Go
sorry
ahead.
to cut you off there, but looks like Pigman Man is gonna cross the line, gets 12 fastest with a 110.445. Probably just lost it out earlier on in the laps. But the thing is, you still gotta praise these drivers. We still haven't seen anyone crash out. Everyone's still being very, very consistent. And look at the time difference as well. Just under around a second and a half from first all the way down to Crew Steamers in 13th.
I was just going to say, this is the track, one of the real driver tracks where it really does come down to fine margins. I wouldn't be surprised if we see a couple of drivers on the same lap time by the end of this qualifying, because the field is so tight. It's such a short lap around here as well, and not many corners, but at the same time, it really shows the driver's skill. They're able to extract every hundredth out of these cars, and that's what it's going to boil down to here.
Exactly, but let's see who is going to be the one that's going to be fastest and who's going to be the one to really put in that absolutely perfect laps. But talking about the Canadian Grand Prix, actually, Lemony, when you said that you actually raced back here and you crashed out at the Wall of Champions, would you say that that is going to be the key point, like the most difficult part of this track, or would you say it's somewhere else on the track?
There is a few corners. It's definitely the most danger zone because it's so high speed and such commitment. But as well as that, you do also there as well through 3 and 4 or 4 and 5 the chicane there with the downhill section. You always have to be on the limit really, and with the wall so close and the speed so high, if you tip that over, once you correct it, you're into a wall. You know, that's it. Like, you know, under the bridge there, that other chicane as well. Easy to lose the rear on the exit. So yeah, it's just Dodge Central, this whole track, to be honest.
Yep, and I actually remember doing a race here at Canada like a few weeks ago actually, and my times were nowhere near the state of these drivers. My time was probably like around a 112 if I remember correctly. Just, I am not a good driver, I can tell you. That's why I'm in the comms box. But yeah, but you can see the absolute skill of these drivers. Just breaking the 108 second barrier for Troyer and getting very close with Alex, Jackson, and Nick. So very, very quick times, and also very, very top contenders for the Drivers' Championship. But it's going to be anyone's game at this point. With Antoine not being here, everyone's win to gain. This is their race to absolutely win it and close in for that Drivers' Championship.
Definitely a Quasar in 19th. I'm having a look at him. He hasn't set a lap time yet, so he's left it for the second run here. He's been looking a bit dodge as well out there. He's really pushing it, maybe leaving a tent or two on the table with the exits, but he's still in one piece anyway, down into the hairpin, and now it's really just a concentration all the way up the hill here. Harris is retired, unfortunately, in the mid-sector there as well. There's some cars coming through.
Yeah, I just saw the damage there, actually. It looked like he got a little bit of oversteer on the exit of turn 4, and his car was just stuck there right on turn 5. But one thing that we have seen, we have a new pole sitter for the time being. Kachow making it a 108.838. An extraordinary time for the Williams driver, as the name goes, Lightning McQueen, Kachow through Canada.
Fantastic name, I must say. It is a catchy one. Fair play to him for now. Troy is going to have something to say about it, and Alex as well. The big hitters need to take the full advantage here. There's a lot of drivers who are going to be really pushing hard for this win. I know they all will be normally, but you know, especially these championship contenders, they know it's a perfect opportunity here.
Well, let's see. It's all up for grabs at this point, as we actually just saw Nick improve his time with a 109.189. Makes his way 4th fastest for the time being. But I'm actually going to keep an eye out here for Troyer, as he was improving at the end of Sector 2 and Sector 3. Well, actually, no, at the end of Sector 2. Now in Sector 3, I should say, as he makes his way towards the dreaded Wall of Champions. Stays within the track limits, just barely taps the wall on the exit, but he's going to reach the timing line, and he's going to take back by 0.02 of a second. Troyer makes his way to provisional pole.
Oh my word, Justin, I am telling you now, and everyone else, ladies and gentlemen out there, we called it. It's going to be thousands worth. of a second. These boys could end up on the same lap times here, but fantastic lap time from Troye. He really threw it at it there. We seen the last corner how committed he was, and that is literally the difference, ladies and gentlemen. 0.002 of a second.
Very, very close margins, as you did say, Lemony, earlier on. But we actually still have two drivers still yet to put in a time of Spider-Man F1 and A. Kaiser. But Spider-Man F1 is now making his way towards the dreaded Wall of Champions. Let's see, is he gonna try and take the pole sitter from the top boys? As he reaches the timing line, he's gonna set a time. A pretty fast one. 8th fastest, a 109.610. Spider-Man F1 finds himself in 8th place for the time being. But let's see if anyone else can respond to that.
That is decent from Spidey. He will be happy with that one. Maybe a couple of tenths or 2 or 3 even out there. Only he knows himself what's left on the table. But a fantastic... Put his foot in there, right there, into the mix altogether.
Well, let's see how these drivers do. It looks like Jackson is going to be starting a new lap of their own. So let's see. We're going to keep an eye on the McLaren driver at the end of his lap. But he's going to start a new one. Let's see how he takes this. But I'm looking at a yellow flag in Sector 3. It looks like an Alpine. And I do want to say that is going to be Basil, if I'm correct. Yep, Basil making his way into the pit lane. Settles so far with a 109.552 for that 7th fastest. But still, anything is up in the air at this point. 4 minutes left of qualifying. Let's see who's going to be the ones to make some overtakes.
Jackson looks like he's still on a push out there as well. Let's see what the split time says.
I saw it was 57 thousandths. But let's see now.
He has been on it anyway. Well, look at that. He's up by nearly 2 tenths here, so he's definitely pushing. Can he find a little bit extra through the chicane as well? That's normally, let's be honest here, Justin, where you leave a little bit on there. You don't want to go too hard too soon, but there's only 3 minutes and 40 odd seconds left, so now's the time. They need to get their laps in pronto.
Yep, and you actually saw with Alex and Nick make their way out of the pit lane now to set those times. But Jackson is going to be reaching the timing line. Does improve by 1.5 tenths, but still stays in 5th position for the time being. But it does secure himself, like gives him a little bit more security that Toto Carney will not be able to take that 5th place position. And if he does, he needs to improve instead of by a few hundredths, now by a few tenths.
The Quasar is on a lap out there at the moment, and then I see Alex and Nick are on an out lap. So have a look at the Quasar here, and we'll jump onto one of the guys, the protagonists for pole position this evening. So as a Quasar comes out with a hairpin, he's going up the back straight now. There's not really much you can do here except prepare yourself. It's actually one of the spots of the track you can breathe. But if you're in a race situation, you could be getting a slipstream. Passing into the chicane is always hard and difficult. Nice lines there by a Quasar. Still a little bit left on the exit, but he's coming up to the line here. And he goes to 5th position. A fantastic lap time from himself on a 109.2.
That's an extraordinary time there, but Folksy just crossed the line.
Straight away.
With a 109.192 takes that 5th place from A. Kaiser, but it was so close to beating Nick for that 4th place position. 3 thousandths of a second separated by Folksy and Nick, and we see that all over the field. We see thousands of separation. We see hundreds of separation. And the only way to get that type of time is just to take a little bit more of the curb. Try and go on the throttle just a little bit earlier without spinning yourself out. And that is where you see the skill in these drivers down to absolutely like millimeters of seconds.
Nick lost it on the exit of the chicane. He ran onto the grass on the exit, and he lost it by 9 thousandths on his best lap. And then Alex now as well. He's just through the chicane. And what can he put up? Can he improve on his third? He's in the pole on a 108.752. This is really heating up at the front here, Justin.
Honestly, extraordinary scenes in the dire moments of qualifying. Extraordinary. But now Troye has actually just crossed the finish line to finish his outlap, and is going to be starting a new one. After seeing Alex up ahead just take the pole position by the dire seconds, let's see if he's going to be able to take it back. But for the time being, Alex, last second push for that pole sitter. But let's see. Oh, and looks like Kachel has invalidated his time. And he's gonna be starting a new one once he makes his way towards the Wall of Champions. But I'm looking at Nick now. He's making his way towards the Wall of Champions himself as he crosses over the chicane. Hits the... Oh!
He's into the wall. I can't believe it. Troy also invalidated as well. So the guys, they're getting caught foul here. Maybe.
Unfortunate to see that, but the thing is, when it comes to these dire seconds of qualifying, these drivers do get a little bit desperate to just try to improve their time. As we see Alex again improving with a 108.591 to solidify his time on the front row. Troy has invalidated his time, and he's going to have to start a new one with the Red Bull teammate of Alex right on the tail end as well. Both of them now on a lap. Let's see if Spider-Man F1 is going to be able to improve his time as well.
That is unbelievable. Alex has literally just dropped the mic, ladies and gentlemen, and everyone else are going to struggle to beat that one here. Troy clips the wall as well on his one. He's 400 down on his lap time, and he needs to gain a few tenths to challenge Alex for pole here. It might be game, set, a match. It looks as if Kachel has invalidated and Nick has as well, so Troy's the only one out here who can really do any damage.
Well, let's see, as he is reaching the sector 3, now down by 2 tenths. So it looks like that front wing damage has really messed him up there, and no one in the top 5 are going to be battling out Alex for that time. So for the time being, Alex still has pole position with an extraordinary 108.591. Let's see if he's going to be the one to cross the checker flag as well for the first time.
I can't believe it. What a fantastic lap time from Alex. We wait for the rest of the field to cross the line and to finish their laps to make it official. But it's going to be hard to beat that one. Spidey pulls into the pit lane. Perfect Pond's about to cross the line. And Pond gets into the 8th position. Great stuff from himself into the top 10. But the headline here, Alex gets pole position.
Extraordinary scenes. The only driver now out on the field. He's going to have a slow, steady pace towards the pit lane after I believe he has run out of fuel. He has actually, but it is the perfect time to. He has pole position, and he's going to enjoy himself having that semi-victory pit entrance as he has the fastest lap starts on the front row with Troy A. Let's see how them two have that battle into turn 1. But that's going to be it. Red Bull and Alfa Romeo lead the front row. Extraordinary scenes here for Prospect eRacing League.
Tell you now, what a crescendo that turned out to be as well. The guys are so close. This field is ridiculously close. The top 12 all within a second. But the headline is Alex on pole position with Troy joining him on the front row for the Grand Prix. Some of these guys only thousands between them. Troy and Kachel, literally only 3,000s there. Kachel in 3rd, Nick in 4th, Folksky there, great stuff from himself in 5th. Quasar 6th, could have done better, but he could have done worse as well. Jackson in 7th, Perfect Pond in 8th, Cart Boyle in 9th. Great stuff from himself. Total Carney in 10th. Proud to be in the top 10 here, ladies and gentlemen. Basil there in 11th, Spidey in 12th, and then we got Clement Pheasant there in 13th, Albo in 14th, Crew 15th, Pigman in 16th, and it ran out there unfortunately, so I didn't get the last 2 people. But
actually, then Harris, then Dylan, and then it looked like it was actually Optic. I just have to stream up on my computer, so just got that in time. But with Optic on the back row, after serving a after serving a quali ban, he's going to start at the back of the grid with an absolute wet race start here in Canada. And I'm looking at Alex. I'm looking at Alex's crew in the pit lane. I'm seeing some blue compounds. There's going to be absolute carnage here tonight. Wet tires, wet condition, a lot of puddles. And especially with Canada, a very, very technical track. And in the wets, it's going to make it even more difficult.
It's gonna be unreal. This track really does lend itself to the conditions. Again, another spanner in the works for the Canadian Grand Prix. Circuit de Gilles Villeneuve strikes again. But yeah, these guys are gonna have their hands full, and it's a game of attrition here this evening.
Honestly, extraordinary scenes. But those front 3 of Alex, Troyer, and Kachel, extraordinary times at the beginning. So, but that's the one thing about racing, ladies and gentlemen, is not about the one lap pace. We have 35 laps here, and especially in the wet conditions. Hopefully these drivers remember to put on a wet setup instead of a dry one. And if not, if they didn't watch the radar, then they're gonna be here for a huge surprise.
It's bad enough with a wet setup. It's really bad if you have a dry setup in a wet race. I'm telling you, the payoff just never works really, unless it's going to dry up relatively sharply. But I can't see that happening with this rain thundering down here in the full wets. Puddles out there as well. It's going to be a few laps before these guys get anywhere near intermediates.
It's going to be very, very difficult, but that is where you see the boys and girls from the men and women. Who was the one that did the research, did the practice out on the track, and who was the one that was actually prepared for these sort of conditions. But as it stands now, Alex is going to be the one on the front row, so he did his practice in the dry setup, but hopefully he did in the wet setup as we see ourselves here tonight.
Tell you, it just makes them lap times even more impressive when you think about it, Justin.
Oh, honestly, mate, honestly, extraordinary. And actually, I just saw that Pigman Man and Harris both got into an incident during the formation lap. They're going to be starting on some very, very cold tires. And that's the thing, wet tires, wet conditions, super cold temperatures. They're not even racing with they're like a huge disadvantage. They're not even racing with rubbers. They're practically racing with ice blocks for the start of this Grand Prix. They're like going to be flintstoning themselves towards some turn one.
Too right they will be, man, and too right they will be. The green flags are waving here, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Prospect eRacing League Tier 1 Round 8 from Canada. It's me, Lemony Tang, and Justin joining you in the commentary booth. This is going to be a cracker. We wait for the lights to go out now on the gantry. The last drivers are pulling in. Everyone's loading up. And this thing's about to get underway.
And there it is. Let's see who's going to get the start. Oh! Clement Pheasant with a, what's that, has been disqualified from reversing on the grid. What has happened to Clement? Unfortunate to see, but now into turn one, we see Alex and Troye have an early battle at the beginning. Caution in sector one with Clement, but Troye, extraordinary start in the wet conditions, finds himself up to first, and Jackson was able to get an overtake on Kachow into turn one as well. So Jackson now into the podium positions.
Fantastic stuff there, folks. You're getting a little bit loosey-goosey through the chicane. Knight goes straight on in the Ferrari. The mid-pack is starting to kick off here. Perfect Bondsby spun around. And I can't believe they're all dodging each other. Very good stuff from the guys in the mid-pack here. But Ferraris and all going slow on the inside. Everyone needs to kind of settle themselves out. There's yellow flags out there. And there's cars locking up here. It's really kicking off here. 13th, 14th, 15th. And it's only lap one, lads.
Unfortunate scenes for Perfect Pawn, now all the way at the back in 18th place. But now I'm looking at a battle for the second place. Jackson and Alex are going to have a drag race into the Wall of Champions. Jackson, is he going to be able to get past? He has! As he enters the Wall of Champions, Jackson now up to second. An extraordinary start. But one person that has a very unfortunate start is going to be Nick. Started in 4th place, now down to 13th after that start.
Last Albo nearly lost it through the chicane there. Is following it through with the grid as they made their way through. Clean through there with Pigman looking at a bit of a move, but now he thinks better of it. So yeah, where's the battle at? Where are we looking at? That's the question. It's all over the place here, Justin.
I'm currently looking at the battle for second place after Jackson got that beautiful overtake on Alex on the exit of turn 11. Right at that hairpin is a very difficult spot, especially in these conditions, to get the traction out there. But one person that we do got to say, after having an extraordinary start, Troye is now up to around 2 seconds of a lead, 1.9 seconds to be exact.
Great stuff from himself. He really took advantage there of the start. A little bit of a kerfuffle as well. A little bit of argy-bargy between everybody in turn one, it looked like. And once they all settled themselves out, he's got himself into a rhythm. It's the most important thing you can do, especially in these conditions.
Oh,
Find
a huge
rhythm.
battle. Sorry to cut you off there. A huge battle, almost going 3 wide into turn 11. Pigman Man has to give the space to Harris on the inside, and Harris just got over. Actually, we are now going 3 wide into the DRS straight towards the Wall of Champions. We have Harris, we have Optic, and we have Pigman Man as they make the way. Who is going to be the one to yield? Who's going to be the one to back out? And it's going to be Optic. Oh, but Pigman Man goes into the pit lane. Probably has a little bit of front wing damage with that. Oh, and Optic!
He's into the wall. I can't believe it. He lost it on the exit. Unbelievable. Sorry to cut across you there, Justin. And that's a virtual safety car. Optic, a disaster.
Unfortunate for that man, but that has actually helped Pigman Man as he makes his way into the pit lane for a new set of wets. But Optic, such an unfortunate spot to lose the front wing right after the pit entry. So now he has to go around the Canadian Grand Prix to go back into the pit lane for a new front ring.
That has to be some of the most unluckiest driving. Because if you looked at back, they were 3 wide as we go back to green flag racing here. They were 3 wide down the straight. Optic backed out of it. But then Pigman went down the straight. I think people got a bit kerfuffled down into there. And the exit there, Optic just looped it. It was just an unfortunate misunderstandings and all. But, sick buzz anyway. What can you do? They're side by side up here. Jackson's gone wide.
What has happened with Jackson there? Probably just mistimed the braking zone of turn 11. A very, very tough spot to miss the braking zone because it's a huge runoff area. But if you don't get back on the track in time, you're going to lose out. And as we can see with Jackson, down to 5th now.
So people are coming into the pits at the moment. Who's that? That's Kachow gone into the pit lane as well.
Oh,
Jackson's
Jackson!
out of the race.
Jackson has crashed out, I believe, on the pit entrance.
lane.
We're going to go on board with Harris. I'm trying to see where that what happened there. Oh no, he actually retired into the pit lane. Jackson has retired into the pit lane after missing the braking zone. What has happened with Jackson?
No idea. Hope Jackson's okay there anyway. Pigman's coming in and so is Optic. Optic finally makes it into the pit lane. But yeah, man, it's just really kicking off here in the Prospects eRacing League. And the guys just need to kind of settle themselves into this rhythm as us just kind of catching on before this whole kerfuffle happened with the VSC and when Optic spinning and all. They need to get their head down, get a few laps ticked away under this race, then see how it develops. You need a safety car, but you don't want to be the safety car.
Exactly, and that's the one thing about some of these drivers. When you get into that that Formula One car, it's like your mind just goes into a whole different place where you're just super focused and you see spaces that you want to get. And then Folksy has spun around on turn 11, goes on the throttle a little bit too early there for the Williams driver as he's gonna rejoin the track just behind Harris and Dylan, who are having a pretty good battle for that 8th place now. But as I was saying, with the drivers, they get into that mindset where it's like, okay, I want to give myself as much an advantage as I can when I get the start of this race. But the thing is, when it comes to the beginning of the races, it's good to have that start, but you want to be more like, you want to be a little bit more conservative and just just not ruin your race so early, because the race is not won after turn 1. It's won once you see that checkered flag.
Indeed, Dylan and Harris still going hard at each other here for 8th and 9th. They'd be doing well just to kind of work together here. But what can happen is you kind of get stuck between people who are, you're the same as them on most of the track except for a couple of corners, and you're catching each other at the wrong times and you're losing a bit of time to each other. Sometimes it is best just to put the head down, create a bit of a gap, let's say, and just give each other the space to catch that rhythm, because they're really doing well. Don't get me wrong, it's great to look at, but it's lap 5 out of 35. Still a long way to go in this race.
It is a super long way to go. 31 laps left here tonight at Canada. But the thing is, I don't think it's actually the drive. Like, there's not really anything that the drivers can do with some of those situations. Canada and any track in general, especially Canada, with it being a wet race, especially with all of Sector 1 with those quick rights and lefts, but also with the Wall of the Wall of Champions chicane is a very, very difficult time to put themselves in. But Albo with the super late dive into turn 1 is going to go off the track, and Total Carney is going to go around the outside and take that position back, and same goes with Basil, just catching out Albo on that mistake. And that's kind of what you want to do. Be patient, catch the person on a mistake so you can capitalize on it. And as you can see, Basil was able to capitalize on that and move his way up to 5th.
That was a great bit of racing there from the guys. As you say, he was just on the edge of the Vitesian there. He locked up into turn 1, and that's all she wrote, unfortunately, with that one. It looks as if we've got a yellow flag out there as well.
I don't know where that is, actually.
Big battle here between Albo, Basil, and Spidey as well has joined the party, also in the Red Bull behind Basil here. So trying to take advantage of some mistakes that are coming people's way here.
Oh, what a deep dive from Spider-Man into turn 11, and then Basil was able to get the switchback. But did Spider-Man get a little bit faster of an exit into that corner? No, he has to slot right behind the Alpine driver, and you can barely fit a piece of paper in between those two Formula 1 cars. They are very close quarter margins here tonight.
Yellow flag into the chicane there. Who's come on, Cropper maybe? Somebody, I don't know.
I really don't know. It looks like, Optic. Optic has retired into the pit lane right as his teammate of Basil goes into the pit lane as well. So Optic is now holding off Basil in the pit lane, now has left, and Basil needs a new front wing. But look at the three-way battle into turn 1. Harris, Dylan, and Kachow make their way towards turn 1. Dylan now on the inside of Harris, pushes Harris wide, and Dylan, as they still go side to side, Kachow having the best front row seat for this battle for 7th, and Dylan is able to push his way up. But it looks like both of the AlphaTauri teammates having an extraordinary race. Dylan up to 7th, and Ekaser starting near the back. Wait, no, did he start near the back? Well, anyway, he's still...
Oh, Dylan nearly spun around.
Oh, Kachow, though!
Kachow's into the wall. He's lost his wing. I can't believe they got stacked up. Something happened there, and it's a safety car, ladies and gentlemen. Safety car's being deployed, and that's what we'll see now. The guys will be getting a reset here, but something was bound to break and give here, and unfortunately, it's Kachow, but he's still in the race. That's the main thing.
That's a very unfortunate scene for him, and especially with Folksy as well, right behind his teammate, seeing his teammate struggle. And now with Kachow going into the pit lane, Folksy has to carry Williams on his back for the time being until Kachow makes his way out of the pit lane. But still, a very good race so far with the drivers out there. Troy A and Alex having such an extraordinary start to this wet race here at Canada. But with that safety car, the gap is going to shorten down really, really fast. And one thing, though, I actually do got to ask you, Lemony. You see the racing line. Do you think some people are going to try and risk it for a set of intermediates?
Well, Perfect Pond in 16th already is, but judging by that 25.6 second gap to Nick, they mightn't be in the perfect window right now for Pond, but by the time the safety car pulls in, it very well could be the golden ticket.
Well, let's see this now. Kachow going for a new front wing is going to stay on the wets. Pigman Man is going to be serving a 5-second time penalty in the pit lane and going out on the set of wets as well. And also, Perfect Pond has actually gotten his front wing completely clean off of that Formula 1 car. So he's going to be making his way into the pit lane and probably switching those inters to a set of wets.
So yeah, there we go. That might have already answered our question. Is the inters good or bad? I'd come in though now, to be honest. Get a new set of wets. I know you probably still need to pit again, but I'd be banking on another safety car right here.
But let's see this now. Is Perfect Pond going to be able to get out of the pit lane ahead of the safety car? If he does not, he'll be held behind. Come on, right up the line. He needs to go on the throttle. Is he going to unlap himself from the drivers ahead as he reaches it? No, he is not.
Keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. Keep going.
No, he can't. He can't. He has to. He's gonna be slotting right behind Alex. Slotting right behind Alex, and you can see him just staying out of the way, letting all the drivers through. And very unfortunate for that man. I don't know why I said through like that. All this that I have is through. I try to sound like you actually there, Lemony.
True.
True.
Oh man, you don't understand. 3 trees and a turd.
Trees
30
and a
trees and a turd.
You know how many trees there are? There are 33 trees.
Yeah, 33 trees in a forest.
Oh man, I love that.
Yeah, sure, look. What are you meant to do?
But let's see now, Troy Ye, his lead has been diminished now to under a second at the end of the safety car. But now he has to wait for drivers like Pigman Man, Kachow, and also Nick catch up with the pack. Kachow and Nick having extraordinary qualifying times up in the top 5, but just lost it in the wet conditions and now sees themselves down 13th and 14th.
It's interesting that the weather really hasn't dissipated throughout the race, as some of these drivers might have been expecting when the qualifying was happening. So PRL Optic is out of the race. Jackson had a bit of a weird one with Jackson there, to be honest, in the pit lane, and then Clements Pheasant disqualified for reversing on the start. I'm pretty sure he didn't do that on purpose. So, you know, it's just a bit of a weird one here for the guys at the back there. Perfect Pond is DNF'd.
And he has done... Yeah, he has retired into the pit lane after not being able to unlap himself when he came out of the pit lane, but it's unfortunate to see. Now we're down to 15 drivers, but it's still anyone's game with the safety car. A second chance for the top 15. But as we make our way through the safety car period, looks like the safety car could be potentially making their way into the pit lane at the end of this lap, but we're gonna have to wait and see. I think we're gonna be seeing it from race control, but as it stands now, we're still waiting on Kachow and Pigman Man catch up with the safety car. Perfect Pond's car actually left the pit lane once he retired, but good thing to Kachow and Pigman Man to avoid the that car there. And did I see that right? Was there a little bit of debris out there on the track still? So we could be looking at a potential... Oh, actually, no. It's not going to be another lap. Safety car is in this lap. Troy Ye leading the safety car period. Let's see if he's going to get an amazing start.
Safety car in. Unfortunate for Pons, because I think I did see a green light on top of that Aston Martin. So who knows of this game, really. But Troy now takes control of the field. He is the one that dictates the speed. As long as he doesn't go full throttle or any sudden movements with the brake or anything like that, it's his to take it to restart this race. I wonder how this is going to go. The guys, again, need to be careful of the rear wheels of this one with the traction, because it's still wet out there, as we can all see. He's gone, he's pulled the trigger, and it looks as if Total Carney's been caught napping massively there. So unfortunately for himself, losing a second and a half already, but a Quasar gets a fantastic run. Oh, sorry, it's Alvo has a good run, sorry, on Carney.
Well, let's see, as they enter turn 1, it's not going to be enough of a gap to try and make a battle, but it's still a very, very good start, a clean start to all of the drivers out there, and especially in these wet conditions. I was anticipating a few drivers to have a little bit of a spin on the exit, but Spider-Man Man with an excessive dive on Dylan, but was a clean dive into turn 3. And Dylan's trying to answer back now, looking on the inside. The gap is not there. The door is shut, and Dylan's not able to get the job done. But Harris and Cartboy is able to have a battle of their own. But Cartboy just takes the position off of Harris on the exit.
It's kicking off here. Dylan still showing his nose, but again he has to back out of it. Same with Harris and Folksy here as well. But it's really kicking off between 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th and 10th here. Basil has joined the party also, and looking from Basil up in front here, we see it starting Constantina into the chicane, into the hairpin. Easy to lose a wing, you need to be patient here. And Folksy nearly loses the rear, but Basil gets a great run. He's up the inside, so that's one position, and he's going to be in the slipstream at Harris as well. So great stuff from these guys. I'm telling you, it's really close out there, really trying and testing for these guys.
Yeah, it's a very, very tough scenario for these drivers to be in. But Kachow and Basil, no, not Kachow and Basil, Kachow and Folksy having a good battle there into the Wall of Champions. And same goes with Basil, having to dive around the outside of turn 1 on Harris. Now on the inside, Harris is trying to make the switch back into turn 2, now towards turn 3, and has to back out. Basil has that position fully in his grasp.
So these guys need to start being careful of these time penalties. They're starting to come up thick and fast up there. They can come back and bite you if there's a late safety car as well. But right now, they're probably just trying to keep these wheels on the car in the white lines as Basil gets a little bit loose on the exit there also. These guys are really pushing each other so hard out there. There is no room for any mistakes.
Oh, but look at Nick trying to make the dive on the inside into turn 8 and 9.
Folks,
a very difficult spot to make a move.
Folks, he's not having it, but a big handful of opposite lock there. Nick makes a move, but folks, he's right back down the inside. He's going to run him wide here as well. Showing the outside, there you go. But it's all about traction now. He loses it. He's lost it in front of the pack. Evasive actions there from the rest of the guys. But folks, he's into the wall. And the rest continue. Crew and Pigman side by side here down the front, down the back straight as well. It's kicking off all over this track.
Extraordinary battles all over the field. A very unfortunate for Volksy there, but did not lose his front wing at all, so is able to keep that car going. But now Kachow around the outside of Harris as we make our way into turn 1. A little bit of contact between the two Formula 1 cars, but Kachow able to get the position and is now in the points.
That was an amazing maneuver from Kachow. He really stuck it out there, trusted his car would stick, and it did. It gave him the apex for turn 2, and he pulled the maneuver off perfectly there. He got the exit as well, up into turn 3, and job's done. And he's going after Basil now if he can make any inroads. He's 1.8 behind. He needs to separate from Harris and try and get up to the cars in front.
Exactly, and the longer they have that battle, the further back that he would be from Basil. But as it stands now, he's actually pulling away from Harris now, almost over a 10th, with Harris getting that 3-second time penalty now. And now, yep, Kachow has that 10th place in his grasp, and he's going to be eyeing down the Alpine of Basil. But I'm looking at this battle further up on the grid with Albo and Toto Carney as they make their way down the penultimate finishing straight towards the Wall of Champions. But as it stands now, Carney getting a better exit through that chicane of turns 13 and 14, and is still in that 4th place. But that battle is really brewing up to something.
Really is indeed, and there's another one there as well between Cart Boyle, Basil and Kachow. Also, we've been keeping an eye on the two battles here. Nick and Harris look like as if they've gone side by side. They have indeed, but Nick goes wide and Harris runs around the outside of turn 2 to reclaim that position. Crew is also getting involved there in the Mercedes, making a guest appearance. Crew, and folks, he's out of Grand Prix. He's pulled into the pit lane, and Nick has mistimed his braking zone, gone into the grass, and now been losing 2 positions there from Crew Steamers and Pigman Man. Nick really feeling the pressure there from Crew. Piling it on there like Button behind Vettel in 2012. But yeah, no, good stuff by Crew. He's made it into 12th. It's a guest appearance here this evening from himself, and he's showing his true colours here. He's battling hard, and he's racing really well, actually, has to be said. And it looks
we have another spin with Dylan spun around turn 11 and now loses 3 positions with Basil, Cartboy, and Kachow. Basil and Cartboy having a battle into turn 13, the Wall of Champions, the dreaded Wall of Champions. But Kachow was able to get the position. Now moves Basil was able to get the position and moves up to 7th place.
Sick buzz there from Dylan. Unfortunately from himself, he lost the rear. It looks as if on throttle exit, on throttle application on exit. And like many others, and probably not the last one of this race to do either, into the inside wall. A harmless spin, but enough to ruin your strategy basically.
Well, let's see how he's gonna do. But still, and Nick is gone. Nick has crashed out on the exit of turn 2, and that's another safety car here.
Unbelievable stuff. Nick has dropped it, unfortunately for himself. I'll have a look on board of Dylan here to see where the car ended up. It's right in the middle of the racetrack there. That's a big crash there. Wheels all over the shop. So, unfortunately for Nick this evening, and it's another safety car, as you say. Perfect opportunity for a brand new set of wets to see it to the end of the race here. Maybe Inters.
Yeah, he's going on the Inters, actually. The racing line is a little bit more clear, but as we did see earlier with Perfect Pond, it wasn't enough. It wasn't going to be enough at that point of time. But is it at this point of time now? As these drivers make their way through, and Dylan's going to be the one to test it, though. Let's see if he's going to prevail.
Well, there's some takers there. Total Carney stays out, though, and so does Spidey. Spidey is one of them drivers, though. He'd go to the end on a 2-pence, he would. He wouldn't. He'd be riding around on the rims. So he's gone for a second track position, where everyone else looks as if they're coming in. Basil has stayed out. Oh no! It looks as if Troy's going to beat Spidey out of the pit lane. Disaster for Spidey there.
Unfortunate for Spotty, but the thing is, this is going to be giving Dylan a little bit of a second guess. All of these drivers are actually making their way out on a set of wets, where Dylan is testing out the intermediates, and I think the best idea is actually to stay with the wets, mainly because you still see a lot of puddles out there on the track. So even though the wets ahead of him will be pulling a lot of that water off of the racing line, it's going to be still a huge challenge for Dylan to keep up with the drivers in front of him.
He's put himself in jeopardy, really, for no reason. Well, like, he's in 13th. We could be eating our words. We'll be eating some humble pie now in about 4 laps' time, when he's leading the race and everyone else is pulled in for a new set of intermediates when they go back to racing. But for now, I think you're right. It's just still a little bit too wet out there. There is a less wet line. That's how I'd put it. No puddles on it. But any slip up, it's like joys on wet. You're off into the wall. No traction, no grip.
It's going to be a very tough order for him, but he is going to be giving the drivers around him a little bit of extra data, let's say, as he's going to be the one to prove if the intermediate is going to be the right tires at this point, and if it's not, then these drivers know that it's safe to stay on those set of wets.
It is true. Hopefully they're listening to us as well, because really they only see who's really in front of them or behind them. Crew's coming into the pits. Interesting. He's probably going to go into a set of Inters. He does indeed. And let's see if Harris does as well. Harris does as well. So, yeah, and Albo as well. So it's going to be spicy now. Who's made the right call and who hasn't? The split strategy here, prospects in the wet here. Slap 17 at 35 on the board. It's going to be spicy. And Albo running a risk on the exit there with that white line. He's lucky he didn't get a penalty there.
Well, let's see, though, because it doesn't matter if he was able to do that or not, is whatever he has with those set of intermediates. A very tough challenge for those 4 drivers. And with that in mind, we're actually going to look at these drivers to see how many laps these drivers are on. Dylan currently on 2 laps on those set of intermediates, but they were practically during the safety car period, where we see the oldest sets with Cartboy, Spider-Man, and Total Carney. Carney and Spider-Man on 16-lap old tires, where we see Cartboy on 15-lap old.
Oh, look at that! Who's down the wall? That's Pigman crashing on the safety car.
Oh, I just missed that. What happened there? And with the safety car, coming in this lap, he needs to catch back up with the front. But let's see if he is, though. Unfortunate.
Warming up his tires.
So unfortunate for the man. And he has no front wing, so he's going to go into the pit lane regardless.
No, that's the worst thing about it. So that's
right at the end.
Carney's keeping it in third now. He's a nice little trundle down the straight. When's he going to pull this trigger here? Everyone else trying to anticipate when he's going to go. Everyone giving each other a bit of space, it has to be said. Probably the cleverest thing to do right now. Carney has an awful run through the last corner, so he hasn't booted it just yet. He's leaving it to the last second here. He's gone. He's out there putting it down now, and the grid is very formed up. Spidey and all nearly side by side into turn 1. This is like turn 1 and lap 1 here, Justin.
Yeah, we actually saw a 3 wide with Cartboy, Kachow, and Alex, but now Ikazer is going to try and go around the outside of the Red Bull of Alex, and he's able to do it, pushes his way up to 7th. Cartboy is able to go have a battle with the other Red Bull of Spider-Man and pushes his way up to 4th. But look at that front two with Troy A trying to go around the outside of Total Carney around turns 6 and 7. Got the better traction. He's going to go around the outside of Total and make his way up. And now it's a drag race towards turn 8. And then Total has to yield. Troy A had the position and retakes the lead of this race.
New wets versus old wets right there. Troy using the grip advantage perfectly for his cause there. Straight into the lead he goes. Kearney is being demoted to second, and then Basil, Cartboy, and then Spidey, then they're the ones really on the old tires here. Quasar is the next one along with nice wets, but then Albo's there in Inters. Dylan is still in Inters. They're literally keeping on board here. A second maybe to the car behind, but that's it here.
But let's see if it's going to be the right call, though. Kachal gets a 3-second time penalty added to his name. He's going to serve that at the end. And you can see just right then and there in the Wall of Champions, Albo now down to 1.6 seconds compared to the wet runner of Alex. So you can really see the wet tires are still the best tires to use out there. And Albo is just proving it, now down to 2 seconds out of 2 corners.
That's it. I think you've hit the nail on the head there. These guys have made the wrong strategy call here at the moment. Maybe it might come back to them later on, but they can't lose too much time, and they need to pray it lets up on that rain. But the battle rages on here from 3rd position all the way down to 8th there with Alex. Alex there as well on the new wets. He got caught out there with the traffic on the Mercedes car restart, but it's really kind of Constantina into each other right here. Cartman is looking Basil's looking spicy behind Cartman. Spidey's gone wide.
Oh no, that's Cartboy going wide there around turn 11. But with the wide line, he's able to get on the power a little bit earlier than Spider-Man and was able to take back that 4th place position. But we are witnessing it for the first time for me. I don't know if it's for you, Lemony Tang. A 7-way battle for 2nd place.
It's fantastic, man. These guys are really pushing each other hard, and this is really where it's all going to be won. There's a bit of a tap there from Basil into the back of Carney, so he's pushing hard. Maybe a little bit of a lock up there, but it's at the Constantina, then Spidey and Cartman back together. It really is one of these things. If you make one mistake in this crocodile train, you could lose about 3 or 4 positions by the time you've collected yourself.
Yeah, and it's going to be very, very difficult. But Harris is actually into the pit lane now for a new front wing, and it's going to go.
Oh no, Spidey spun! Spidey's around in the chicane. It's a traffic jam.
Oh no!
Alex and all caught up in that as well. So yeah,
very unfortunate for Spider-Man there. With the 19-lap-old wets as well, so it looks like the tire wear has really gotten to him there into that corner. But as it stands now, he's going to be battling out with Dylan around the outside, but is able to hold on to those wets and stay in that 9th place position. And now we are down to 2 battles on the field, both a 3-way battle for 2nd and a 3-way battle for 5th.
Can't beat an old 3-way. Carney and Basil here in 2nd and 3rd. Coming down the straight, and as you say, Carney's on them 19-0 lap wets. He's going to be feeling exactly how bad Spidey is, and Cart Boyle on 18-lap bowls as well. So it's really anyone's game here. Kachel's throwing the towel in. He's come in for a new. Oh no, he's retired. That's unfortunate for himself.
Well, I mean, you were right. He did throw him in the towel.
Yeah, I thought he was saying, "Feck that, I'm going to get new wets," but no, he just drew it in altogether. So there we go.
It's actually very unfortunate for Kachal just having an extraordinary lap time in the qualifying and just not having the race that he would have wanted here in the wet conditions, but still very commendable for Kachal for lasting this long and also having such an extraordinary time in qualifying, so he should still be proud with how he finished this race.
We have had a lot of retirements in the pit lane though this evening. You know, it's unfortunate to see guys throwing in the tail so early on. There's been so many changes in this race already, and Spidey and Albon going side by side. So many changes and swaps around as Basil and Carney are going side by side here as well. And Cart Boyle also, big battle for 2nd, but there's so much racing left to go. We're here commentating. It looks as if there's 12 people left in this race. Who knows, with another accident or two or something happening, whoever finishes, they're going to get points here.
Well, let's see how they're gonna do it though, because it's still very, very tough conditions. As you can see, Basil cutting the corners of the Wall of Champions chicane, as he now gets a 3-second time penalty added to his name, and he's gonna have to serve that at the end of this race. But that's gonna give Total Carney and Cartboy a little bit of like, as they, you would probably say, like, they've been a little bit more relieved seeing that 3-second time penalty added to Basil, because now they don't have to push as hard as they want to get into the podium, because they both have it now.
That's it. They need to just kind of keep their head down, but there's still 22 out of 35 laps clocked off the board here. So we're coming into the final stages of this race. The guys still more than 10 laps to go though, so they still need to keep their head down, make sure they get to the end here. Really, they're still trying to tick a few laps away, but again, it's going to start kind of pressuring here. Cart Boyle and then 20 lap old tyres. Total Carney 21. They're going to need another safety car, or sorry, pit stop, and Chris Harris is DNF'd in the pit lane as well.
So Harris again, another one bites the dust, or at least bites the puddles, or you should say potentially, because a lot of these drivers, especially with Canada and having a wet condition, it really gets to the drivers mentally, with it being such a difficult scenario to be in, and it's very unfortunate to see. But now we're down to half of the drivers, well, near to half of the drivers, as we have 11 drivers out on the track. But there's battles all over the field, with a battle for third, a battle for fifth, and also a three-way battle for ninth, with Crew Steamers leading that battle as well.
Oh, Total Carney nearly lost it through the exit of turn 1 here. I'm just on the board here myself, a Boyle. But yeah, no, as you say, look, coming back onto it just real quick though, this track of all tracks has to be proven. It has been proven. You can be in last, you can have 8 pit stops. Jenson Button done it there years ago, won it from the back. I'm telling you now, he had an absolute mare of a race and he still won it. So, you know, but anyway, that's the end of that one. Cart Boyle losing a bit of time here to Carney. Carney doing a fantastic job with his tyres and his throttle application. Really showing dividends here. He does have a lot more grip, but it looks as if Cart Boyle is able to carry more momentum through the corners.
But let's see this now. But one person that has, oh, actually a Cartboy with the dive into turn 11, but he just did not park it on the apex, and Carney's going to take that position back.
There we go, the old switcheroo from Total Carney, but now he knows that Cart Boyle is not playing games. He wants Boy, and he wants Boy now. Coming down the back straight here. No DRS still to assist these guys. He pulls back in to gain his line through the chicane, and he needs to be patient because he knows Quasar and Alex are going to be following suit any time now. So it's a battle here for third, fourth, fifth and sixth. They've closed up again here. The people's pace have brought them back to each other, or lap time and wear has brought them back with the tyres. And again, we found this concertina effect in this grid, where these guys are going to be battling hard now in the closing parts of this race. They need to make these moves stick sooner rather than later.
Well, let's see if they're going to be able to make up those positions. But Carport now, as you can see, just taking a super wide line there, getting a little bit of a slide on the exit, and now has fallen down a little bit from Total Carney, now out of that 1 second time gap. And sorry, I just got heartburn again. Needs to try and make up that battle back, but a Kaiser having such an extraordinary race here tonight, gaining a lot of positions, having battles all over the grid, and he is currently in 5th. And we actually, looking at the chat, there's a lot of people supporting this man, so he really needs to provide it for not just himself for the Drivers' Championship, or trying to get any points to get as close as he can for that title, but also for the fans back at home. He has a lot of pressure on him in that AlphaTauri, but to be honest with you, he is providing, even though with that pressure.
Hello to all our fans out there this evening. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Give this video a nice big thumbs up. Also, you know you want it, you know you love us. This is the Prospect eRacing League. It's me, Lemony Tang, and Justin in the commentary booth this evening. This race is coming to its crescendo here, and it's great to have you along for the last 10 laps of this race. It's going to be a home dinger here in Canada, as always.
But let's see if it's gonna be able to have that type of hype. As so far, actually does have a lot of hype though. 19 drivers started off, a lot like a lot of close last minute changes in qualifying, and just an extraordinary race, stuff that you always expect here with Prospects eRacing League, and just close quarter battles, clean racing as well. So what could be better than this?
Kachar getting another launch down the inside here. Total Carney pinpointed into the hairpin. He does. They're kind of backing each other up here. Little bit of touching and tapping here. He makes the move stick. Carney now under big pressure from a Quasar on the ERS. What can he do down the back straight here? He's going to pull into the inside for the chicane. But it's going to be touch and go here. What does he decide? He decides he backs out of it. And the two cars fly into the pit lane, nose to tail. Kearney and Cart Boyle. And yeah, another big change at the top here, Justin.
Oh, exactly, and they're actually taking the risk. They're going to go on the set of intermediates with Cartboy having... Oh, actually, he glitched out on my end just then, but he is actually ahead of Toto Carney on the pit exit. And do you think that's actually a little bit... Do you think that's the right call there? Oh, actually, yeah, it is. I don't see that many puddles. You don't really see the racing line that much. This could be time for the intermediates.
I'm looking at Dylan there, or sorry, another wet driver there. I don't know, he might have just came in himself there, but intermediates I should say. But yes, Dylan, and he wasn't losing too much time at all to these guys around him. And I think we're just about at that crossover zone. They could have pulled an absolute blinder here, because if it does start to dry up in the next lap or two, they could get the undercut with these intermediates here with Troy and Basil caught out at the front.
Well, let's see if they're going to be the ones to go into the pit lane. And yes, Troy is in the pit lane now, Lemony Tang. You're like a psychic. You just know all of this.
If I was Troy, I would have been anxious as anything. I'd be looking over my shoulders like, I need to do what they're doing. Oh, you got yellow flag elbows out of the Grand Prix somewhere out there through the chicanes, and it's another safety car, so that's after throwing another one in the spanner here. But Troy's going to keep his lead. Basil is going to keep his second, I would assume, with that one, and everyone should dive to the pit lane here. Where's Cartboy going to end up?
Well, let's see. It looks like he's going to be right behind Basil on the exit, which he is just getting ahead of a Kaiser.
Oh, but Carney, no, Cartboy has to give the position back. There's it's weird here now. Cartboy is whoa. So Cartboy just by the safety car as well. So a bit of a kerfuffle through the exit there, but I think they've sorted themselves out. I thought there might have been one of them glitches where two cars have to give the position back to each other.
Well, as it stands now, they were able to find themselves on the restart, and A. Kaiser, now having an extraordinary race, now finds himself in the podium positions, and I know a few people back at home is going to be excited about that.
On a brand spanking set of inters, the same as Basil, the same as Troy, but the gap, look at that, a 13-second lead here for Basil, and then, from Troy to Basil. Even under the safety car here, all of that's wiped out. The same as Crew, he's 28 seconds off Pigman. That's going to be wiped off as well for this restart. So it's going to be interesting. The safety car still hasn't picked up the leader, although the leader is making his way past the start finish straight now, and the safety car is on the exit of turn 1.
Well, let's see who is going to be the one to end this race. It's going to be ending it on a set of intermediates, the nice green compound tires, as we could be looking at a potential start around lap 29, if not lap 30, and there's going to be around 6 or 7 laps left here tonight at the Canadian Grand Prix. But as it's coming to the near end, actually, Lemony Tang, how would you actually describe this race?
Mental. No, it's been very entertaining so far anyway. I know it's literally going to kick off any time now, but no, it's been brilliant. Like, you know, there's been incidents, there's been accidents, there's been tears, there's been joy, and it's still yet to be decided here. There's a couple of point penalties in and amongst the top runners, but apart from that, it's going to be a straight fight to the end here, and it's going to be interesting to see who really comes away with it here.
It's going to be a very, very close and desperate race end for these drivers, as they've been giving themselves not even a second chance. It's probably like a fourth chance at this point for some of the drivers out there to try and get as many points up on the grid as they potentially can. But one person that's actually really going to be having a tough time is going to be Dylan, because everyone else is on 1 lap old, 2 lap old set of inters, where Dylan is on 13 lap old intermediates. So he's actually been giving himself a little bit of a huge disadvantage.
I'd say he'd pop into the pit lane right now with in 8th position as well. You're not really losing any points or positions. He hasn't come in. I don't know why, because it's a no-brainer. You're not losing any. You're losing 2 positions if any, because they're 12 and 21 seconds behind you.
Probably only one position, to be honest with you. But
yeah,
he decides to stay out. He wants to get this race restarted as quick as possible. But we still have to wait on 2 drivers of Pigman Man and Cruise Steamers. But honestly, extraordinary race. I've actually loved it, to be honest with you. Always a pleasure here for Prospect eRacing League, especially Div 1. Because I think this is the first time I've actually been commentating with you, Lemony Tang, actually. Because I've done it with Feldman, I've done it with Folksy, I've done it with Fluff. I've never done it with you, I don't think.
Yeah, no, it's great to have you in the commentary booth. I can only do it once a week myself, so I can't commit to any other ones for the Prospect guys. But it's fantastic to have you along. You know what I mean? I always have great banter in here, regardless who's in here. But it's been particularly nice with yourself this evening, Justin. Great, it's a pleasure, to be honest.
Nah, the pleasure's all mine, my mate. Honestly, every single time I get a message from Owen about doing the commentary, I always try to see if I'm able to do it. It's just been unfortunate on my end, because I haven't really done that many of the F2 leagues, even though I've tried, but I've just been so booked with a lot of commentaries. But still here tonight at Prospects, I'm just gonna like take this all in as I always try to for commentary, because you learn stuff every single day, to be honest with you.
You definitely do, although to be fair, in my side of things, it never really helped my pace. But, you know, you pick things up when you're driving out there anyway, and you're able to use it in the booth here this evening, because, let's be honest here, Justin, these guys, the lap times they do is unbelievable. I think you mentioned it earlier on, the concentration that goes into it. Let there be no mistake of people out there that these guys are effectively athletes in their own sim at home. Racing here in the Prospect eRacing League, it is a lot of concentration. These guys do take it very seriously. Practice, testing, qualifying, the races, the whole lot. And it's brilliant. They really do bring their A game every week. And it's a pleasure to commentate on it, to be honest. It really is.
Honestly, absolutely, and especially on my end as well, mainly because I actually raced in Tier 1 before, back when it was at the Suzuka circuit in Japan. And I remember doing that when it was actually you and Fluff, I do believe, doing the commentary of that race, and I absolutely struggled. Even though I finished in, I believe, 8th place, I spun about like 3 times, got saved by all of the safety cars out there every time I spun, and with that, I actually was able to battle out with one of the best here at Prospects, and honestly, I am absolutely privileged to be a part of this community, I gotta tell you.
They really do. It is one of them things as well, like to get better. Also, like you're pushing each other, like these fine margins. As I say, you're equal all across the track, and there's only a couple of corners you're better here or there, better there, and you know you bounce off different lines, and you do test it all out, and you ultimately gain that 10th or 2 as a community, as a grid. But the green flag is about to be dropped here. Troy is taking over the grid here. 31 laps are going to be on the board when we go back to green, so it's going to be a short stint here for the win this evening. Troy's in pole and Basil is in second. He's actually pulled the trigger already here, Justin.
Honestly, catching Basil off guard into the wall of champions, and now has the lead by 8/10. So really catching Basil with his pants down into that restart. But now Troy is going to have a clean race ahead of him. Only needs 5 laps. And this is pretty much like when you go into an online lobby, you go into Canada, you set up a wet race, and you just have 5 laps to go. And let's see who's going to be the one to come out on top.
It's going to say when it loads in, you see it's wet. Is that collective sigh is like, ah.
Oh, no.
Fantastic Yeah, exactly. But these guys have been showing fantastic car control up at front here. The cream has risen to the top. We got Troy in first, Basil in second, Equazer in third, Alex in fourth, and Cartboy is your top 10, top 5, ladies and gentlemen. If I can count in this commentary booth, I might get to the end of this race. Let's see.
I mean, hey, that's why we always have those funny moments in the comments box. It just makes it a little bit more enjoyable, especially with me being new and trying to pronounce some of these people's names, and I butcher it every single time.
So do I, man. I'm telling you, if there's any international drivers, which we all are, we're a worldwide community here for prospects. But please forgive me for any mispronunciations or missayings of names, because I am a disaster. So
Mate, I'm pretty sure I'm worse than you. I'm pretty sure I'm worse than you. But now we have 4 laps left to go around the Canadian Grand Prix. It's going to be very, very difficult for these drivers to make their way around the track. Still, and the thing is, with this race, they've actually given themselves a little bit more experience in the wet conditions, and that's why you see these drivers still out there on the track, still keeping the pace, keeping that consistency. Some of them actually getting second chances or third chances, but still now pushing the way into the points. A few laps left to go before these drivers' nightmare will end.
Hopefully not too early. They don't go home for a cold one. But yeah, Alex here as well. He was pole position, and he got pole position here. He's found himself in fourth, so it hasn't gone his way this evening. And it looks as if Equazer has some good pace in third as well, able to keep him behind for now. He's trying to get a second on him. And then we have Basil in second there with a 3-second penalty, unfortunately. Same as Alex actually has a 3-second. But yes, in second position, Basil will be demoted to third if it finishes as they are now. But there's still plenty of time for the guys up in front to maybe run wide, or even the guys in the mid-pack to keep it. Like, look at Total Carney there. He has no penalties here. And if it was a late safety car or whatever like that, he would be in the pound seat, especially for maybe a sneaky podium.
Well, let's see if he's going to be able to keep it clean, keep it on the concrete, and just try and keep that pace. Currently now 1.4 seconds behind Cartboy. Troy gets his first time penalty, 3 seconds, and that is going to be giving A. Kaiser potentially the race win here tonight. He just needs to keep it clean, stay within those 3 seconds, and that gold trophy will be his. Troy now giving himself a little bit of a challenge to try and stay away from A. Kaiser, but let's see if he's going to be able to do it.
Equazer is 1 second. He's 4 seconds behind here, so he doesn't have it. He's going to lose it by a second. Can he put the pressure on? I don't think so. I think he's sure he's got enough trouble as it is. Alex is right behind him as well with 3 seconds. So yeah, it's going to be a close one here.
Well, let's see. It's going to be, as we said in qualifying, by dire seconds, dire hundredths, dire thousandths. And that carries over to the Grand Prix as well. 2 more laps around the Canadian Grand Prix. And Troy needs to keep this pace, and he'll have that race win. Dylan just gives himself a little bit of a 3-second time penalty added to his name, and then overtaken by Cruz Steamers. Looks like Dylan not really having the race end that he would want, but still gets points for the AlphaTauri at the end.
He has to finish first. But first, you've got to finish. These guys should be proud of themselves to make it this far into the grid already, into the race. Only 2 laps. This is the penultimate lap here, Justin, as well. It's been going so fast. I thought we would have had another 15 laps at this stage, to be honest. I could keep going all night here.
Well, I don't think the drivers are going to appreciate that if we ever do, because a lot of these drivers are struggling out there. But now Troy is going to come around turn 11 for the penultimate time. 1 more lap once he passes turns 13 and 14, and he'll be able to see the white flag right now for the final lap. Troy leading the race practically from start to finish. And let's see if he's going to be able to bring back with a gold trophy.
He's all into that start as well, that first lap as well. He's done a fantastic maneuver on the pole position there, and he starts his final lap here this evening. He'll be happy to see the end of this one, and so will everyone else. Equazer looks as if he's dropped out with that 3-second margin now, so he might be getting second. rather than first. But Troy has been fantastic this evening. Let it be no mistake about it, Justin. He seemed to be in the pound seat the whole time this evening. When the safety cars came out, he made the right. Oh, he nearly lost the chain, Mac. Oh my word, he hit the cup. I nearly died.
That was seriously close, almost losing it on the final lap. Was able to catch himself off of that, but let's see now. He needs to keep it clean. And even if he loses a little bit of pace, he is now ahead of a Kaiser by 4.7 seconds now. So he has a second and a half pretty much to just go slow, keeping it clean, and make his way across the finish line, which he's going to be making his way now towards the Wall of Champions for the final time here tonight. Troy Ye started in second, getting an extraordinary start at the start with Alex, and he's going to come across the line to take the win here for Tier 1 for Prospects eRacing League. Troy Ye takes the checkered flag.
Basil got a 6-second time penalty there at the end, another 3 seconds, but Quasar gets second. Basil does end up in third, and Alex gets fourth. Kurt Boyle is in fifth. Total Kearney crosses the line in sixth as well. And these guys made it to the end. Fair play to them, but let it be no mistake, Troy done a brilliant race to take this win this evening.
Extraordinary scenes that we have witnessed here for Tier 1, and it's always been an extraordinary race where Troy having such a dominant weekend, well, Monday I should say, here tonight, for having a second place start, almost having pole position, but Alex coming into dire moments of qualifying to take it by around 3/10, but was able to beat Alex now by over 5 seconds as he takes the champagne, sprays it on around his fans, his crew team for Alfa Romeo, and he's going to take that top step on the podium.
It's great stuff there as well. The flags representing the countries these guys are all from and racing from. Great stuff from Troy yet again. Even with that penalty, overcame adversity this evening to take the win. Quasar, what a fantastic race with no penalty in second position. Great stuff from himself out of nowhere. And then Basil there in third, Alex in fourth, Kurt Boyle rounding out your top 5.
Extraordinary scenes. Honestly, we're both practically, it's just been a positive outcome for all of these drivers. Even if they didn't even finish, they were able to give themselves a little bit more experience of the wet conditions. But if I would have to choose a driver of the day, I might have to go with A. Kaiser, being the only one to finish on a clean race, getting into the podium, and just having battles all over the field. So if I would choose a driver of the day, it would have to be A. Kaiser.
I definitely agree with you there. I just want to shout out the crew, Tier 2. Well done to himself finishing the race. All the guys there, the top 10, have to be very proud of themselves this evening. They all got points. They all kept it on the island for the most part, and they've come away with a good result this evening. But yeah, Justin, I don't know about yourself, but I'm going to leave it at that one. It's been fantastic having you here this evening in the commentary booth.
As I said before, the pleasure is all mine, mate. But ladies and gentlemen, that's going to be it for Prospects eRacing League Tier 1 Round 8 of Canada, the Canadian Grand Prix. I hope you guys have enjoyed. We will see you guys tomorrow for Tier 2, so make sure you guys watch that. And I'll see you guys tomorrow. Lots of love. Stay safe. Lemony Tang, Justin, we're out. We love you guys.